Good af- Good evening, everybody. It is 6 o'clock. So the work session for mayor and council for March 4th is called to order. Ms. Rainey, can we have our roll call, please?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Butler, City Council members, and City Manager, Mr. Clark. This is the roll call for March the 4th, 2024 work session. Mayor Butler,
Present.
Councilmember James,
Present.
Councilmember Anton,
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez, Councilmember Akins Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Mears,
Here.
Mayor Butler, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Now, is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Opposed? Item 1, council approval to purchase 5 air packs and cylinders for the Forest Park Fire Department. Background and history. The Forest Park Fire Department needs to purchase 5 air packs and cylinders. The cost is $49,571.95 and needs council approval. The vendor is Municipal Emergency Services. Municipal Emergency Services is under government contract and no comparison quotes nor request to bid is required. The fund is firefighting equipment. Line item number 100-61-3520-53-1136.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We don't have any guests on this side. Yes, so the fire department is requesting that we purchase 5 new self-contained breathing apparatuses. These devices are what we use in immediate danger to life and health situations or any oxygen deficiency situations. Those are the air packs we put on our backs to go into fires. The lifespan of these particular cylinders are 10 years, and we have 5 that are out of date. So we're asking council to approve this purchase. We're already on the government contract, so it's gone through procurement. Just asking for approval.
Thank you, Councilwoman James.
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Antoine.
That's a question. What do you do with the ones that's not being used, the ones that don't work no more?
So they go into training, into the training division.
So you keep them.
Yes, they go into the training division.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Wells. No. And Councilman.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, good.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 2, council discussion and approval to purchase 2 ambulances. Background and history. The fire department would benefit from the purchase of 2 new ambulances in many ways. With the newest ambulances being utilized as frontline apparatus, they run most of our EMS calls, more than 70% of the total yearly call volume. The next newest ambulance is a 2013 with over 195,000 miles on it. It has an average out-of-service percentage of 10 to 15%, meaning it is not able to be utilized during that time due to maintenance. This is based on a 5-year time span. The maintenance and repair costs are approximately 60% plus over the lifespan of the ambulance compared to the cost of a new one. These considerations, along with the overall condition of the truck, show a need for replacement. This would change us from a diesel engine to gasoline and allow for easier and cheaper routine maintenance costs. Per Roscoe at Fleet Services.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Again, this is one of those purchases where, let me just give you a backstory. So we typically run 7,000 to 8,000 calls per year. 85% of that is EMS. So with our 3 stations that are geographically situated throughout the city, our first line ambulances are first out. So we're running all the BLS, basic life support, our advanced life support. They're hitting the ground running roughly 300 to 400 calls per month. That'll give you roughly, my math is not exact, over 4,000 calls per year out of that 7,000 to 8,000 that we do run. So ambulances run a lot of calls. So we're putting a lot of mileage on it, a lot of maintenance use on these vehicles. So we're requesting to purchase 2 additional ambulances. as the frontline ambulances, as they go out to service, go out of service, or go into fleet for maintenance, repair, we're able to put the two new additionals in service while we go back into reserves. So we're asking the city or the governing body to approve the purchase of 2 new additional ambulances.
Thank you very much.
Further comments by
Roscoe.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
As Chief stated, in purchasing those ambulances, we have identified funds in our ARPA fund to take care of the purchase. So that's going to be the funding source, and that's pretty much what I wanted to add.
Thank you. Councilwoman James?
No questions, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is Roscoe here? No.
Roscoe's our mechanic.
Councilwoman Wells?
No.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Mears?
No, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Item 3, council discussion and approval of a Latin American Association partnership. Background and history. Council members James and Gutierrez are seeking approval of an event partnership agreement between Clayton County Public Schools and the City of Forest Park for a Latin American Association on April 27th, 2024, from 8:30 a.m. to 1:00 p.m. This event will promote the vision of the Latin American Association, which is to provide an opportunity for all, with diversity, equity, and inclusion being a primary focus of their organization. And so Councilwoman James or Councilman Gutierrez, I'll let you have the floor.
You want to start?
Yeah, I can. So Clayton County Public Schools is partnering up with the Latin American Association to bring resources to this side of town. They usually work really alongside the communities on the north side. And it's just they need help promoting the event, and they seen how many events, we have at our park. So it's just resources and helping promote the event. So yeah. Excited about it. It's gonna be at the Forest Park High School.
Is there money involved?
No money involved. So it's just really in name only. And, some of the things that we would do is see if our fire and police are available to help with traffic control or even set up to display. It's going to be for the community. It's going to be huge. So I've also spoken with Kroger Delivery to provide some food for people that are there. And it's open to everyone, so.
Is it open for discussion? We talking about?
Well, Martin, open up for discussion. Councilman Antoine,
No.
anything you want to add, Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
No, I had this conversation a while ago, like I'm all about, of course, the community. But I think it's a thin line when we keep using city resources to, for Clayton County schools, honestly. And I just think it's kind of like with me working my job, and I just keep coming back saying, okay, well, I want the city to do this, I want the city to do this, just so that the city resources are used. I just think, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with it because we do have 2 council members that are employees of Clayton County Schools. And I just wonder what does the school board do? Because every time you turn around, it's the council this for the schools, the council this for the schools. And at one point, it was a problem with our employees going up there doing work hours to assist with some of these events because we were just throwing the city's name on stuff. So I just, that's just my 2 cents. I just don't feel comfortable to keep doing stuff that school board members should be doing.
Councilman Mears? And so I guess, Attorney Matricardi, where is that fine line? Because when I was reading through the draft here, it does say that there's representative from the city council and then employees from the fire and police department to be available for this event. And so where is that fine line?
So generally, when it comes to like any type of gratuity or city services or property that you're giving, it's prohibited, but there is a special exception when it comes to other local government entities like the school board, like the school system. So in this case, it would be legal to enter into a contract for those purposes. But anything else, generally you want a substantial benefit in return. That's what transfers it from being a gift to being a service that the city can provide.
And is this an annual event or just for this time?
Well, actually, this is their first partnership with the what is it called? Latin American Association. So they're doing an initial kickoff to say that they're partnering with them, and they're doing a lot of the other things. They're paying for the food trucks, they're paying for food for all the community at large, and so it's going to be a huge event, and they're actually hosting it at Forest Park High School, and they're going to use both the bus lane and the front of the front side of the school to have it. So, I mean, the school is pretty much doing most of everything else.
Mayor Butler,
Yes, sir.
Attorney McCarty, there were some notes that you put inside the agenda portal. Do you remember what those were?
Yes, that was in reference to the exception to the general rule about various local governments and the use of city property. So it relates to what I previously stated.
So the event partnership agreement is drafted is fine.
I would recommend that I be able to edit it and make it a little bit more formalized in the city's typical contract format. And then recirculate it for signature.
Is that as opposed to what's in here already?
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, so I just want to add, I think, from my personal perspective, I am an employee of Clayton County Public Schools. So I think sometimes I'm more exposed to those needs directly because I see them every day. So I think for me, I do a lot of stuff with the school because I think that's just, we have a lot of needs in our schools, and our schools are the seeds, I think, of our communities and should be. But I see, I guess, being an employee, maybe those balances, I'm really going to rely on you, city attorney and Ricky. Definitely keep me accountable. I would never do anything that brings dishonor to this position. But it's I think we should definitely bridge the gap. We are the biggest municipality, yet we have the lowest voter turnout. I don't see a problem with our schools seeing the city logo, seeing our firefighters, seeing our police officers more than, when they get pulled over or an EMT has to show up to something. So I think the effort to bridge that gap is, I guess, my goal. So that's just where my intention is. But thank you for bringing that up, Councilwoman.
Yes, and I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to make you look any type of way.
No, I'm just.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I just think it should be, to me, if the firefighters and the police officers or whoever employee wants to be a part of something like that, it shouldn't be up to us. It should be voluntarily. And so again, I feel how I feel, but this would be this.
Item 4, council discussion and approval of an urban redevelopment appointment. Background and history. Councilmember James, Chair of the Urban Redevelopment Agency, is seeking the appointment of Jasmine Julio to fill the unexpired term of Marisol Schooners, who recently resigned her seat. Her term is set to expire March 21st, the year 2026. Councilwoman James, would you like to add anything?
Yes, so I believe Mr. Julio's here. Come on up, reintroduce yourself. Most of us already know who she is. I'll just say that Ms. Marisol, dedicated member of the board, she recently resigned at our council, at our URA board meeting, and we have a space that we need to fill. And so, Ms. Julio, just introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff members, as well as the public that's present. My name is Jasmine Julio. I actually have been a resident of Forest Park for about 18 years now. It's going to be 18 years this year. I've worked in local government for a number of years, starting my local government here in Forest Park, and then moving over tomorrow. Now I reside in Peachtree City regarding my employment. not where I live. I still live here in Forest Park. So my experience ranges from court. That's actually where I started. I've also worked in community development, economic development, planning and zoning. I'm actually currently the Director of Executive Services, and I also serve as the city clerk.
Thank you. And so what I would add, Mayor Butler, is that I like to surround myself with people that know more than me. And I think that she would be a very added addition to the URA board. So I would ask, hopefully the council would consider appointing her on the board to fill that unexpired term.
Thank you, Councilman Antoine. Councilman Gutierrez. Councilwoman Wells
No.
and Councilman Mears.
I think it's a good choice.
You do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Butler?
Yes.
If this is the appropriate time, I think what would help is if we had guidance as to how we do these formal appointments, just coming up with a clear way. And the other thing that I think would be helpful is if we convened a meet and greet of all of the various boards in the city so that our governing body knows who's on the board. So if we were to consider a process, it will be something to include, my apologies, something to include when the openings come up, we send something to the clerk's office, let the clerk ensure that she gets it out to all of the various governing body members, go through an actual application process just for our record purposes. I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can streamline some of, and we don't have them often. You know, certainly Ms. Julio has been active, but we don't have them often, but just streamlining what that looks like would help us in the executive offices so that we know who's on the board.
Well, in the past, that has been the case where people will submit in their resume or bios. And then as a collective, we would discuss it in executive session and then come out with a recommendation. And so I wasn't sure, I've been kind of MIA the past few days. So I wasn't sure if maybe I just missed an email with such.
No, I believe that this one is a little bit out of the ordinary because it was a resignation in the middle of the term. I believe that that's something that it makes sense definitely for the annual appointments, but we'll just have to make it a different process if there's anything happening between that involves a resignation or abandonment of the position, something like that in between the terms.
That'll help us because again, whatever that formal process was, I don't know what it was. I just haven't been here throughout that process, but I think just streamlining it and putting it in the office of the clerk since she retains, he or she would retain all of the board appointment information, especially now that we've updated all of our records and we just have a clear history.
And I do know we will be going into executive session. I don't know if we could get through the rest of the work session beforehand, but if there's any other recommendations that someone want to bring forth, I think it's only fair that we discuss it and then move forward accordingly.
Okay.
Yes. Number 3. Well, we're on number 5 now, but yes, what's your question?
Well, the approval's not with them. We're partnering up with our school district to celebrate their partnerships. I don't even think that can be misleading.
Gotcha. Item 5, council discussion and approval of the Forest Parkway median landscape. Background and history. Falcon Design Consultants LLC has prepared a task order to assist the City of Forest Park with a landscape plan, bid assistance, and construction management for landscape improvements along the median of Forest Parkway within the city limits of Forest Park. The total centerline distance of the project limits is approximately 9,900 linear feet or 1.875 miles. Additionally, Falcon Design Consultants will provide bid assistance and construction management services as required to provide a complete project to the City of Forest Park. Based on the meetings with GDOT, FDC, Falcon Design Consultants will prepare plans using local GIS and aerial data. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. The City Council will approve this task order. Falcon Design Consultants will assist the city in providing us with a landscape plan for the median along Forest Parkway from the farmer's market all the way down to the city limits near Jonesboro Road. And not only will they do a plan, but they also will supervise and make sure that the that our drawings get approved by GDOT. I didn't realize that, but GDOT has to approve these landscape plans. And they will also oversee the construction and make sure that the construction matches what they had designed in their task order. So.
Hey, Councilwoman James,
No questions. thank
Councilman
you.
Antoine,
No question.
Councilman Gutierrez,
No questions, sir.
Councilwoman Wells,
No.
Councilman Mears.
Over.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Item 6, council discussion and approval on the City of Forest Park Blight Tax Ordinance. Background and history, neighborhood blight and the presence of vacant and abandoned properties have profound negative impacts. Additionally, because blighted properties often demand higher government services, such as public safety and code enforcement services, than other properties, the higher tax allows local governments to recover some of the costs associated with this increased burden. Who has this one? Mr. Clark.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is a proposal to impose an additional 7 mills worth of tax to any property that is considered to be blighted. As we work towards one of our pillars of neighborhood sustainability, we recognize the importance of ensuring that absentee property owners are in fact taken care of their properties and just not leaving them for our citizens and stakeholders to ride by and see it in a state of disarray. A property owner who is chargeable with the property with the payment of the ad valorem tax will have this 7 mills applied based upon certain criteria as outlined in this ordinance. In addition, the property owner would also have the ability within 30 days to request a hearing within municipal court just to somewhat share their side of the story. So for calculation purposes, a property worth $250,000, of course, your fair market value is taxed at 40%, which makes it $100,000. $100,000 times our current millage rate of 16 mills, that property owner without a homestead exemption would pay $1,674.30. Adding on this 7%, the additional amount due would be $2,374.30, based upon if they were assessed this blighted tax. What we feel is if we're able to hit them in their pockets, it's just another tool for our code enforcement to use to ensure that these properties are brought up to a certain standard. Again, there are various advantages for this higher tax, as well as there could be some disadvantages with this blighted property tax if you think about particularly lower income individuals. However, we believe that this, along with other efforts of our Beautification Commission, allows us somewhere to start the process of trying to mitigate the many dilapidated, blighted structures and buildings that we have in this community. Again, it's just something that we're going to try. Communities across the world have tried to figure out a way to mitigate some of the blight that's happening over our community. But with all of the work that we are doing on the economic development side, we also want to have some sustainability as we work to diversify what that housing portfolio looks like. I'm able to answer any questions that you may have. And if there's any additional items for our legal team, they work so diligently to help come up with this ordinance.
Councilwoman James.
Yes, so this is not just for vacant properties. This is for properties that's being lived in right now.
Lived in or commercial properties. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then the tax, does it go to the owner and not necessarily the renter?
Right. A property owner is the only one responsible for paying taxes. Typically, what happens in some scenarios, if your property tax goes up, they're going to tack on that increase to the resident. But by definition of this code, the majority of the properties that would be deemed as blighted, I don't necessarily think they would have individuals living there because it would be uninhabitable.
Well, I've seen some properties I guess could be considered blighted, but people are actually living there.
This ordinance does an amazing job of trying to quantify and clarify what the true definition of a blighted property is. One presents one or more of the following conditions: uninhabitable, unsafe, or an abandoned structure, inadequate provisions for ventilation, light, air, or sanitation, an imminent harm to life or other property caused by fire, hurricane, tornado, earthquake, storm, or other natural catastrophe, respecting which the governor has declared a state of emergency under the state law, has certified the need for disaster assistance. So it goes pretty deep into, more than likely, there's a quantifiable difference between a property that is unkept and a property that is blighted. And if you see areas like that, please let us know so that we can get code enforcement to mitigate some of it. And sometimes, and we've done this, I know, twice in the last 4 to 5 months, if the property is in just a very bad state, we do a forced demolition to tear the property down. And then on the back end, when that lien is filed, whomever purchases that property, they have to pay that lien, which we consider, I believe it's a workman's lien, so that the city recoups all the costs that we use for that forced demolition. But if you see those type of property, let us know so we can take it through code enforcement. And more than likely, if you are witnessing properties like that, they've already been cited or issued a notice of violation. They're just going through the adjudication process.
Councilman Antoine?
Yeah, I get it, it's going across the country and stuff like that. But, and I also get, putting people to work, making sure that planning and zoning is doing something. But then I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel though, because you're dealing with low income and you're dealing with people that can't afford. That's why their property is that in the first place. And I get it, it's something to start with. It's something to start to get, the properties back to where it belongs. But on the other side of it is, I don't see the end of the, the light, showing, the green pathway. This is gonna work.
Excellent point, Councilman Anton. So because we are a data-driven, opportunity-focused administration, we've already developed ways to handle that. So through the Office of Code Enforcement, this council has approved the Beautification Committee. One of the other things that will come out of the Beautification Committee, and I am going to mess up the name, and I feel horrible right now that the name just escaped me, of the next initiative of the Beautification Commission. Mayor Butler, if you don't mind, I would like Mr. Walker to talk about the additional program that they are going to be launching here very soon, so that our legacy residents, to your point, if they get to that point where they can't afford gentle repairs to their residents,
Right.
we already have a plan for
I
that.
got you.
One of the things that we're going to see with the intent of this ordinance, the majority of the individuals that would qualify under the definitions of this ordinance are absentee property owners that live far away from Forest
I
Park,
get it.
but they are benefiting off of the backs of poor people and keeping their properties in a state of disarray. In addition to that, we also have the opportunity to create an additional tax based upon the definitions of this ordinance, based upon a property where in section E, there's repeated illegal and criminal activity on the property of which the property owner knew or should have known. What we're trying to do, if you are a resident of Forest Park purchasing or renting your home, it's unfair for you on one side if the property owner is just making money off of you and not seeking to repair the property. And number two, it's unfair for a property owner that doesn't have to drive by our community like you and I do every day to be allowed to keep their property in a state of disarray, but benefit off the backs of, to your point, low to moderate income persons. But Mr. Walker, if he could, Mayor Butler, expand upon the program that they're going to be launching to help just that issue.
Absolutely.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
The program that Mr. Clark is talking about is one branch. What that is, we will assist with the aging community to do exterior upgrades for us, cutting grass, if they need any painting, anything done to the exterior of the property. So we will be assisting that group of people, sir.
Keep in mind, my statement was was more general, because sometimes you're not gonna see,
Yeah.
the light
Right.
every time and in the tunnel, but just for purposes for talking and debating this topic right here, I thought it was wise for me to bring that up. But good luck.
And one of the things we
Thank you,
will
sir.
hope, even with some of the code violations that we deal with, Councilman Anton, the majority of the individuals that we're dealing with don't live here. The property owners, they are not here. And so the light at the end of the tunnel is, in lieu of you just making money off of our backs, we're going to hit you where it hurts the most, in your pocket. So if you get tired of paying that additional 7 meals of tax, You either sell the property or you fix it.
Correct.
Councilman Gutierrez,
No comments. Thank you for that initiative.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Wells,
I agree 110%. So thank you so much, Director.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Mears.
Yes, I agree also. It's a good idea to get these people, keep Forest Park beautiful.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I agree, like this is long overdue. And in fact, I was trying to get us to go significantly higher in terms of a fine amount, but thank you.
Why can't we?
So how it was explained to me was that 7% or the 7 mils is like a standard, but I am always of the notion that may be the standard, but we can always go above and beyond. And so I would like, and then I think you gave me the range between 7 to 10, and then it just so happened this was on the agenda for 7.
Right. I mean, that's up for negotiation. So there isn't legally a standard, but it still has to be reasonably related. And what is reasonably related to your purposes, your local government purposes, is how do you judge that? Is you look at other jurisdictions. So generally it's 7%. That's what GMA, Georgia Municipal Association, recommends. But I have seen it as high as 10%. So I wouldn't advise going over 10%, just in the event that this gets challenged, but you can go up to 10%.
I think we should go up to 10%.
And excuse me, thank you for that, because for me, the properties in question, thank you, have been a problem for X amount of years. And hitting them to the highest extent that we can will let them know that we mean business. And so I am of the mindset of having a no exception, no excuse stance when it comes to this, because even some of the ill-principled landlords that we do have in Forest Park, and if you were to go to their neighborhoods, they would not dare keep their properties in the condition that they have here in Forest Park. And it's an absolute slap in the face to us. And so when we make that motion to increase it, if that would be the desire of the council, but it would be my desire to hit them as high as we can. All right, thank you.
One of the things, governing body, please forgive me that I failed to mention, the reason why Mayor Butler is so passionate about this is a bill that she's been working with us on for the past year.
Well, the previous city manager and city
Oh, wow.
attorney.
Wow.
Yes.
And the other thing, I think there was a question, Attorney Matricardi, so that we can get on the record. In Forest Park, the majority of, based upon what the homestead exemption value is, how does tacking on this 7% affect if 89% of the individuals don't pay taxes based upon what that homestead is?
So I looked into the homestead exemptions for the city, and I haven't been able to see a complete full exemption. And so a full exemption means they pay 0 taxes. So this would be calculated on top, or it would be first calculated, and then the homestead exemptions would apply.
And I guess, and I'll have to lean on finance, I guess the homestead exemption is 150,000, I believe.
Based off of the assessed value up to $150,000. So if a property costs more, then the taxes are based off of the difference.
So typically your homestead exemption is a number, right? And I think it is 150,000. For some reason, $150,000 comes to mind. And I think what ended up happening because of the valuation of the residential properties, it made it basically a wash because the properties were falling up under that threshold for that homestead exemption. 150,000 comes to mind for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be in support if we're going up high first. I understand we start low and we see the progression, but just to hit the people up high just off the top, you won't get my vote.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
quick question. The homestead exemption does not apply for residents that's not present, right? It's only.
So correct. Per state law, you can only file a homestead exemption on one property and it has to be your primary domicile. However, this came up too. When we went to do the tax sale, of course, it had not been done since 1979. What we found was that there is potential that individuals, because the data that we use is based upon the digest that is done with Clayton County Assessor's Office. In order to get that homestead exemption, you only have to file that application one time, but there is no audit back. So I think Attorney Manchacarty was going to look to see if we said, as of X date, we are ruling every homestead exemption null and void until you come complete the homestead exemption application for the city, just so that we can certify that the homesteads that are being used in our city are valid present day. Now, if the city took in a payment, let's just say it was sanitation, right? We could tell if a renter came in to make that payment because they would call. You just have to catch it. You know, and the other way we catch it sometimes is if we send out that property tax bill, if your address that you've listed with Clayton County is not within the corporate city limits of Forest Park, then we know that you don't live there. You know, it's just a matter of catching it. But that is some work that we need to figure, some auditing work we need to figure out on the back end. I believe that some months ago, we looked at a company that would do the audit for us. And what they do, they use all of this geospatial data, as well as just looking at people's history of finances to track down where they actually live. And they marry that to the information that is aligned with the digest. But we just have to do that auditing work. And because Forest Park is so big, who knows what we would find?
Thank you. Item 7, council discussion and approval of the final plat for Townhome Manor Townhomes. Background and history. The Town Manor Townhome development located at 437 North Avenue is nearing completion of the 16 townhome unit subdivision and is now in the final platting stage. The preliminary plat was approved by the Planning Commission on August 18th of 2022. The development is located on 1.61 acres on the corner of North Avenue and Burks Road. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As stated, this is requesting the approval of the final plat for the townhomes located at 437 North Avenue. As mentioned in the staff report, the preliminary plat was approved back in August of 2022. So we are now at almost the conclusion of this development.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman James?
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Antoine?
No.
Councilman Gutierrez?
No questions.
Councilwoman Wells?
No.
And Councilman Mears?
No questions.
All right, thank you for that one. On item 8, council discussion.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Can we go back to 7? You know the rent prices that's gonna be over there?
I do not at the moment.
Council discussion and approval of the text amendment, termination of conditional use permits. Background and history. Article G, Section 8-8-190, as currently written in the code, does not provide clear and formal processes of termination or continuance of a conditional use permit. The requested text amendment provides more clarity when a conditional use permit shall no longer be authorized if construction or occupancy has not occurred within 6 months of the date a conditional use permit was granted. The amendment further clarifies the continuance of a conditional use permit. If the use of which the permit was granted is occurring on the property, and states the discontinuance of a conditional use permit will occur if it is found that no activity has taken place for a period of 60 days. Yes, ma'am.
So this text amendment basically adds a little bit more teeth in what was in the section 8-8-190. It actually gives more of a time frame for when a conditional use can be continued or no longer authorized.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman James?
I'll come back.
Councilman Antoine?
No, thank you.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
No, thank you.
Councilman Mears?
No more.
All right, Councilwoman James?
No question.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, and I know we do have executive session and we have a little bit of time. So I want to ask for a motion to recess and enter into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal. Personnel, real estate, or legal I feel like I'm missing one. Litigation, yes. Oh my gosh.
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second? That was Councilman Mears. All in favor? All right, opposed? All right, we shall return. right, thank you all for your patience. Is there a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene into our work session?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilwoman Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now is there a motion to adjourn our work session?
So moved.
It's Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. It is 7:07. And the regular session for mayor and council for March 4th is called to order. Tonight's invocation will be done by Dr. Patton. So all those who are able to stand, can you please do so and remain standing throughout the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray. Father, we thank you now for this time that we have come to do business on behalf of the city. We thank you, God, for the mayor, the city manager, and all of the councilmen and councilwomen, and all of the people of the city who make this place a better place to live, work, and play. God, we invoke your presence here tonight as we do the business of the city. For that, we say thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Rainey, roll call, please.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and City Manager, Mr. Clark. This is the roll call for the regular session of March 4th, 2024. Mayor Butler,
Present.
Councilmember James,
Present.
Councilmember Anton,
Evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez, Councilmember Akins Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor Butler, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as is?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? The minutes, have everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from February 19th? And if so, are there any changes to be recommended?
Changes, Mayor, Mom.
No changes. I recommend we approve the work session and regular minutes from February 19th.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion? Ms. Rainey, roll call, please.
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells.
Yes.
Councilmember Mears.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Public comments, Ms. Rainey.
Okay, per section 2.1.7, rules of procedure and decorum. Comments will be limited to a total of 3 minutes per speaker. 21 minutes are allotted in total. Members of the public are not allowed to participate in any debate or discussion conducted by the governing body members. All public comments must be limited to matters on the agenda or over which the governing body has jurisdiction. Each speaker must maintain a decorous demeanor and refrain from personal attacks upon members of the governing body or employees, shouting and using obscene language. All questions and comments shall be directed to the presiding officer. Members of the governing body may respond to the comments during their closing comments if they desire.
Thank you. And we have 4, and we will start with Mr. Randall.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, sir.
I'm just only bringing a couple of things. But I'm just bringing a couple of things to. Couple of things I've witnessed, within the past 3 weeks in my area. I understand that Fort Park PD does not like me shooting fireworks and everything, which I have, obtained a permit from the state capitol. They have been called on me Friday, Saturday, Sunday, including probably like 30-45 minutes ago, so 3 response, which is outrageous for something like that, that people's life in danger because of fireworks. Now, I obtained my permit, had my permit, paid my money for the permit down at the state capitol for Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Fires, 9:30 tonight. It's just ridiculous how we can waste taxpayers' money for officers to come out for fireworks, but can't come out for gunshots or drug deals going down in City View. Myself have witnessed at least 3 drug deals go down on City View, ranging from 11 PM to about 5 PM, 5 AM, my bad, in the mornings. Every month I go out 1 o'clock in the morning, get my money in. With it being said, there's drug deals. I've recently gathered some information, some tag numbers, some vehicle numbers, but at the point, I'm too afraid to even relay the information to law enforcement officers because I know for a fact that they're not gonna do the job. They would rather come out and harass the public for fireworks, but can't come out with gunshots or drug deals down. About 2 days ago, there was a individual smoking methamphetamine right behind the Main Street gas station. I called it in, no officer responded. I've witnessed this a few other times, so no officer responded. Keep getting the, all their own priority calls, other stuff like that, which I can understand officers are extremely busy. But I have, good things about some officers, lately. I'm not sure if I can mention names, but I want to thank Chief Chris for some of his officers I've actually mentioned to him that has done a fantastic job. Way better than any officers that I know of in the department. But I'm also asking for the city council and mayor if y'all can actually get some mental evaluation done on a couple officers. I'm not gonna mention their names, but it needs to be done. I'm tired of the officer safety crap. If they're gonna feel like they're endangered because of people recording within almost 25 feet away from them, and all comma of speech is interfering with the physical act. And it's just, I can't.
Thank you. Mr. Ibanez. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Also, I will say that the great person of the police are, that makes you the first person more safety. So, good. Now you talking about, because they have, more, they have, it's really good that they talk situation. I would like to get that.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell. Hello.
Good evening.
Very disrespectful even losing street.
Week. And it's just like anytime, and it's just anytime. You could be taking a nap, next thing you know, you're waking up to a boom.
Boom.
And somebody should give him some kind of curfew because he's random. It's just whenever I feel like it. And I got the cops on my side. And I don't think it's fair that we all have to pay our taxes. So why do we have to be uncomfortable because of Mr. Ringle? Mr. Ringle. And I wish he had stayed here so he could hear how I talk about him. So we're just tired of him. Yeah, I mean, something really got to be done. We cannot have peace and sanctity in our own homes because of him. And then he gonna talk about somebody need to be evaluated. That's all I gotta say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would y'all please help us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Falami?
Good evening, Council Mayor.
Good evening.
I just come before you all for two things. First of all, I want to invite you over to the Leisure Center all this week. Most of the inner city children are playing basketball right here in our city. And I need to see some of you all who's not too busy to come over and cheer them on. They are taxpayers, they are voters, and they live right here in Forest Park. Another thing I wanted to speak on, I was watching while I was at the gym, where the early part of this work session was about partnership with the high school. I don't have a problem with partnershiping. I just have a problem that it doesn't come through like a MOU for every one of you all to know what this is about. So when you're looking at doing a partnership, it should come under a MOU. So at least the city manager can have a knowledge what's going on. We are looking at partnering with overall children, but what about our immediate children that come here and patronize our facility? We never over there. I'm there for the season of basketball, volleyball. Right now I'm in the championship. I want you in the house. That's the end of that. So please consider about partnership with the Board of Education. I love the Board of Education. I sit on other boards affiliated with them, but they have more than enough money. That should be where you all can have your own say so if you want to participate in their event. I know I have a couple of teachers up there or scholars or whatever up there, but that's something on people time. But right now you're a city council. I think you should be over there at the Parks and Recreation Center cheering on. Going back to the events, we used to have the audit day for the seniors here. And some kind of way, it just got alleviated. We need to bring that back. We bringing in everything for the outside, but our senior would love to have that program to come back to our community. And in saying that, I think I'm not going to use up my time. I'm not going to set the bomb off, but consider coming across the street. I'm going across the street. Y'all have a good day.
City Manager's report.
Yes, ma'am, Mayor and Council. Thank you, guys.
The real bomb about to drop.
Thank you, guys. Monthly, we do the city manager's report. The first thing I want to start with, Mayor and Council, if we can zoom in a little bit, Mr. Virgil, we've been working to come up with some uniformity as it relates to what the park signage would look like, because Mayor and Council like the gateway signage that Mr. Shelby did so much. We figured we would try something similar for the park. So we just wanted to get some of your opinions. If we can zoom in just a little bit, Mr. Virgil. This is just one that was done as a mock-up for Alder Drive Park. If we can zoom in on that picture. And just scroll over. Go back up, Mr. Virgil. Show the actual right there. So just wanted to get some of your input as we work to use this for all of our parks. We just want consistency and uniformity. And again, this is just a smaller version of the gateway signage. We don't know the price yet. Our next task is to get it priced, but we didn't want to move any further until we had some dialogue with our governing body to see if you'd like to sign.
You got my support.
All right, so the next thing we'll do, we'll send it through procurement just to get some pricing for this and try to get it implemented, instituted as quick as possible. The next update I would like to do for you as I conclude this city manager's report
Does
is,
it light up or just is it?
I'm sorry.
Does it light up or
Closing the door.
matter? But does it light up? All right.
Unfortunately, I don't think this sign glows in the dark.
Well, it don't matter.
Listen to Hector. But I do have a question.
Were you asking me if the sign glows in the
No,
dark?
no, it was.
Oh,
He asked if it lit up and Hector made a silly face. So while we're doing these signs, there are still some old Forest Park signs that are out. Are we gonna look to replace those?
We can, now that we know we have some consistency, we do want a little bit of versatility with our signage and our wayfinding package, but it'll all mirror this branding collateral. But you are right, Mayor Butler. There are some other signs that we need to change out throughout the city and also remove some of the COVID signs around the city as well.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that we can, get some history, like a little part of the history behind the name of the sign posted somewhere, maybe on the back of it or something?
I don't know about putting it on the actual sign, but we can do a display that gives the history as a separate standalone function, but we can do that. And I think it would be interesting to know what some of the history is behind these
names of the
parks.
parks,
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, want to look into letting mine glow in the dark. That would,
You can use your capital outlay money, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. So while the sign may not glow in the dark, one of the things we are going to do is ensure, similar to what we did with the gateway signage, that there is ample lighting. And it will be up lighting for the signs.
Good.
Mayor Butler, that concludes my city manager report. Oh, my apologies. One major update. For the home program, we've had 122 pre-qualified and verified residency. Your respective numbers for your wards are as follows. Ward 1, we've had 22 that have been verified. Ward 2, we've had 28 that have been verified. Ward 3, we've had 22 that have been verified. Ward 4, we've had 32 that have been verified. Ward 5, we have 18. Ms. Pauline, if you would please stand. Ms. Pauline and the council aides have done an amazing job of going through all of these applications. And so we are looking forward to moving this project along to the second phase, in which they will start to send out the denial letters. So governing body members, if you get calls from some of your constituents, we've vetted them. And one of the main calls that we've received, if you'll remember, one of the directors of the governing body was to send out the postcards to the entire city. Well, when the post office sent out the postcards, they also included areas that were not within the corporate boundaries of the city of Forest Park, but the individuals had a Forest Park address. And so Ms. Pauline and team have shared with some of those constituents that even though our governing body wants to help everyone, they are legally restrained to these funds being used by only respective residents of the city of Forest Park. The other thing, we did not know or anticipate that we would receive the response that we did. And so we are officially closed. We will reopen the portal once we get through all of the rounds of seeing how much funding the legacy residents are looking for. But at least we were able to weed out. You remember we were at 180, 190 applications, but now we're down to a more manageable number of 122. And if all 122 don't request $10,000, we will have additional money to disperse for this $1.3 million home repair program approved by the governing body of Forest Park. The other thing, as you know, we like to introduce our new employees. Tonight we have with our finance team, Mr. Jeremy and John, Ms. Nina Robinson, and our finance department. And I would also publicly like to confirm the interim appointment of Ms. Rochelle Dennis, who will be leading the charge in our economic development department. Mayor and council, that concludes my report for this evening.
Excellent. Yes, ma'am.
So as far as them spending the $10,000, will we provide a list of people to assist them with the home repairs? Or is it just completely up to them for them to?
So I'm happy that you asked that question. They are able to select their own contractor. However, one of the calls that we did for this grant too was for a general contractor. So within our portal right now, we probably have plus or minus 20 different contractors, 22 different contractors that have already signed up. So if that legacy resident is looking to get assistance and doesn't know a contractor, we're able to provide them with that that information. In addition to that, instead of us doing 3 rounds of funding for the contractor, based upon conversations with our legal team, we're only doing 2 rounds to ensure that we don't have individuals trying to prey, P-R-E-Y, on our legacy residents, because they'll get some of the funding up front and the remaining funding will come at the end once it's been reviewed. But I believe it's our code enforcement department, just to ensure that what they said they wanted to do, they were going to do. And every recipient is not going to request $10,000. We hope not.
All right. Thank you.
All right, presentations, the introduction to the new Deputy Fire Chief of Operations.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our new Deputy Chief of Operations, Chief Jeffrey May. But before I allow him to say a few words, I just want to add that Chief May has been serving this city for next month to be 37 years in the fire department. Not only his tenure of service, he's an excellent incident commander. He's going to be over the 3 battalion chiefs, A, B, and C. So he'll manage all the operations. He'll get those calls 2 and 3 in the morning. Chief Halcomb and I are off the hook now as Chief May. And I have so much hope. He's going to do an excellent job. And I'm so happy that he's going to be a part of this administration.
All right, thank you.
And we will have an official pinning ceremony at our award ceremony, but I would love for his wife to do the honor of pinning, taking off this battalion chief badge and putting on his deputy chief badge. He already has a white helmet. He's ordering his own shield. His grand wants to take a picture and he's going to say a few words, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So instead of blowing 3 bugles off the collar, he'll be blowing 4 bugles off the collar.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, her with us, okay. Oh, okay. I get one.
Oh. So I'll keep my comments short and brief. I've only got 1 comment. It's in 37 parts. I'm just kidding, but I am humbled and privileged to be here. Like I said, I've been 37 years with the city. It's a big change for me coming off of shift, because I've been on shift for the entire 37 years. So to go into the 8 to 5 role is a whole new experience for me, but I hope to do the department proud and take care of the men and women under my charge.
All right, item 3, council approval to purchase 5 air packs and cylinders for the Forest Park Fire Department. Is there a motion to approve this item? That was Councilwoman James. There's a second by Councilwoman Wells. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Rainey, roll call, please.
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells.
Yes.
Councilmember Mears.
Councilman Mears. You
Yes.
vote. Yeah. Council approval to purchase 2 ambulances. Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Councilwoman James, is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Rainey?
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells.
Yes.
Councilmember Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 5, council approval of a Latin American Association partnership.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
It's actually approval with Clayton County Public Schools.
Clayton County Public Schools. All right, item 5 is a council approval of a partnership with the Clayton County Public Schools. Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
That was Councilman James. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what, Ms. Valami said, no disrespect to you guys who are employees up with the county, but, I think we should definitely focus, the schools have kids come from everywhere to attend the school, and I think we should focus on more of the children in our communities and let the school board focus a little more on the schools, but however the council decides, then I'm fine with that.
All right, thank you. Ms. Rainey, the vote, please.
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells.
No.
Councilmember Mears.
Item 6, council approval of an urban redevelopment agency appointment.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to appoint Ms. Jasmine Julio to the URA board for
All
the unexpired term.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Sir.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Rainey?
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells.
Abstain.
Okay. Councilmember Mears.
Yes.
Item 7, council approval on the Forest Parkway median landscape. Is there a motion on this item?
So move.
Councilwoman Wells, is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Rainey?
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells. Councilmember Mears.
Yes.
Item 8, council approval on the City of Forest Park blight tax ordinance.
Point of order?
Yes, ma'am.
Would we make the motion here to raise it to the 10%?
Motion to approve the ordinance subject to a revision of 10%, something along those lines if you wanted to change it.
Or instead of 10%, 10 million.
10 mil.
Mills, yes, thank you.
Okay. I make the motion to what our attorney said.
Is there, that was Councilwoman Wells. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Rainey, roll call?
Oh, I'm
Council-
sorry,
Oh.
discussion. So the, approval to, approve the ordinance with, subject to 10%, is it saying that it's going to be 10?
10 mills.
I mean, 10 mills, is it saying it's going to be 10 mills?
That motion, yes.
What's the process of that? Is it just the first time they get cited 10 mills? Or it's like a warning, they violate
30
that,
days.
then they get 10 mills?
So it first has to be declared a blight, and so that would be before the municipal court. And then that's when it would be assessed.
All right, Ms. Rainey?
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Anton.
Nope.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells. Councilmember Mears.
Yes.
Item 9, council approval of the final plat town manor townhomes. Is there a motion on this item?
So move.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Rainey?
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Antoine.
Yes.
Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells. Councilmember Mears.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 10, the council approval of a text amendment, the termination of a conditional use permits. This is actually up for public hearing. So I'm going to ask for a motion to recess the regular meeting and enter into a public hearing on the termination of conditional use permits. Councilman Antoine, is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now is there a motion to open up the public hearing on the termination of conditional use permits?
So move.
That's Councilwoman James. There a second? That was Councilman Antoine. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Per our charter, 10 minutes is allotted per side in its totality. So those in favor of the termination of the conditional use permit or text amendment, you may line up at the podium now. Not seeing any. anyone who is not in favor of the termination of conditional use permits text amendment, you may line up at the podium now. Not seeing anyone, is there a motion to close the public hearing? That was Councilman Mears. Is there a second? That was Councilman Antoine. Oh, gosh. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to reconvene into our regular meeting?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. There's a second by Councilman Gutierrez. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Now, is there a motion to approve the text amendment for termination of conditional use permits?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second? That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? Ms. Rainey?
Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Antoine. Councilmember Gutierrez. Councilmember Akins Wells. Councilmember Mears.
All right, thank you. Closing comments, Councilwoman James.
So thank you all for coming out. For those of you that had an opportunity to see the journey, it was a wonderful production. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to do it every year. Also on the third Thursday of the month, we'll have our ward meeting. I'm hoping to ask Mayor Butler to actually host that meeting since I'll be out of town.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry
Thank
for putting you on the spot like that.
Okay, consider
Um,
adjourned.
On Sunday, we will have our hunger walk. It is to raise funds for those that are less fortunate in our community. We're in partnership with the Atlanta Community Food Bank. We will be meeting at 9:30 at New Vision Christian Church. Our team, we have a team of about 30 people right now. So we're still looking for team members. If you would like to participate, you can sign up before March the 7th, which is the day after my birthday, to get your T-shirt. If you want to make a donation to sponsor a student, $25 would allow them to get a T-shirt, Hunger Walk T-shirt. Please consider doing that. But we'll be walking after service on Sunday. And then finally, I would say about the road repairs, Mr. Clark, I know that we have a list of roads that need to be repaired. I think we need to, I don't know, find a way to better put the information out on which roads are going to be repaired. Because I've been getting a lot of calls about the conditions of the roads and not knowing exactly which roads are what. And I know we have we've allowed another contractor, I think, to come in and help us with the roads, to repair some of the roads in the city. So I kind of want to see what that process is and kind of help the residents to understand that we're working on the conditions of our roads. So that's something I want to put on the radar. And that's all. Thank you all.
Yeah, Councilman Antoine.
Shout out to Ward 2. Let it know that you guys are in good shape. Secondly, I want to shout out to all the new employees of Forest Park. Thank you guys for coming in. Who knows what Sunday is? Daylight Savings Day. Is it moving forward? All right, God bless you guys. Thank you guys.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Welcome to the new employees. Congratulations. I don't want to mess up the new title, Deputy Chief. That was beautiful there, seeing your family here. So I know you're going to do great, and thank you for your commitment. I'm 37, so when you started here, I was still swimming around. I don't even think I was here. So, Chief, I don't that firework thing. I'm a war vet, so I get really scared around fireworks and noises like that. I know it takes a toll on animals too. I'm pretty sure. Do we have a curfew, Mr. Clark? I don't know what that situation is, but I just want to make sure that we're respecting that. I believe in everybody's freedoms, but your freedoms can't, affect someone else's, well-being. So just want to, make sure we're respecting that. And yeah, that's that. That upset me a little bit that you ladies have to deal with that. So thank you for coming today. Mr. Parker, we miss you today. I hope you're well. I know you'll be tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thank you for that prayer. And I appreciate everybody coming tonight. If there's anything I can do for you, I'd love to assist with that. Thank you.
Councilwoman Wells.
Yes. I would just like to say welcome to our new employees, and congratulations to our new deputy chief. Chief May, I know you would do great things. You've been here. I wasn't still swimming around like Councilman Gutierrez said, but I was about 3 or 4 years old, so you've been in it for a long time. You've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and you've hung around for all of it. So thank you so much for your dedication to the city of Forest Park. And I was gonna, before the resident spoke, about the fireworks and all this with, Mr. Randall, I was gonna actually ask Chief to maybe put him on the squad because he have done a lot of investigating and, he's well aware of what's going on in the city, and I thought he would make a good candidate for a police officer, but, I do think, I do think that, our residents shouldn't have to deal with certain things. And I know we can't, people have a freedom of speech but I just don't think it's fair to our police department, to our chief, to our residents to just have to tolerate certain things. And so I don't know what it is that we can do about it, but I just hope that we can look into doing something about it.
Yeah.
You want to respond to that?
I wait till.
Okay. And what else? I too, I'm always, we always talk about accountability. And people definitely hold me accountable, and I think we should also hold each other accountable. But I think we should be more careful about the people we choose to put in office. Because anytime you get someone that represents the people, you come out, you knock on their door, you ask for their support, and you work for them, and they're more concerned about a glow-in-the-dark sign than they are with how you're living, then that's a problem. It's a real problem. I mean, I joked about it, but I'm serious right now. Because we have a job to do. And my voice is trembling because I'm so passionate about my community. And for someone to vote no for something that's gonna help how our residents live, you're saying that it's okay if you live in this rental home and the homeowner does absolutely nothing. It's okay if your hot water heater is out. It's okay if your windows are busted and boards are up to the window. All of that is okay, but you represent the people. Just be mindful of who you support and who you put in office, because not everybody have good intentions. Thank you all for coming out, and I hope you have a blessed night.
Councilman Mears.
I also want to congratulate our deputy chief. I've been knowing him a long time. He does a fine job. And Mr. Finch is back there in the back. I always got to keep him up, and I'm glad to see him. Shout out to him, and I appreciate everybody here that comes and takes care of your business. Thank you.
So I do want to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and I do want to address the fireworks when I'm done. Yeah, when I'm done. Yeah. So our city attorney is on it, and I know there had been the statement of fireworks being governed at the state level. Well, that's only pertains to certain days, which would be like the 4th of July, New Year's Eve, etc. And so what the city attorney has been tasked with is to provide an ordinance for the city of Forest Park that will strictly regulate the use of fireworks in conjunction with other departments. So it takes some time to get the legalities and the logistics in order, but we do hear what is said during these public comments. And so don't think that it's going ignored. It just takes some time to put it all together. And so with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to recess and go back into executive session for personnel, real estate litigation, and legal matters. That was the other one I forgot. That was Councilwoman Wells. Is there a second? That was Councilman Antoine. All in favor? All right, thank you. Now it's Councilwoman Wells. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman James, all in favor? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, thank you.
I did. I texted you. Did you get my message?